recommends that forks be inspected on a regular basis for surface cracks, straightness, fork angle, tip alignment, and blade wear. Additionally, hooks and fork retention devices need to be checked. Step process. Step 1. First of all, the fork should be inspected for surface cracks. Forks with surface cracks should not be returned to service. Pay close attention to the heel area and the welds attaching all mounting components to the fork blades. Forks with surface cracks should not be returned to service. Step 2. Check the blade and the shank for straightness. Measure the length of the blade and multiply that number by 0.005 to determine the allowable deviation for that blade. For example, if the blade is 48 inches long, the formula is 0.005 times 48 inches equals 0.24 inches. So the allowable deviation for this 48-inch blade is 0.24 inches. Using a straight edge, check the blade and look for any gaps in straightness. Forks should be withdrawn from service if they exceed the maximum deviation of 0.005 as noted in the guide. Repeat this process with the shank. Step 3. Use the cascade caliper to check the fork angle. Forks that deviate from the allowable 3-degree value should be removed from service. Open the calipers to approximately 90 degrees and place in the top inside heel area of the fork, making sure that all 4 of the caliper extrusions are touching the blade and the shank. When you are sure all 4 points are simultaneously in contact with the fork, gently remove the calipers and look at the indicator line found at the top of the hinge pin. If the line on the horizontal leg of the caliper that points vertically is found to lie beyond either the 93-degree or the 87-degree indicator line, the fork should be marked to be checked for either permanent deformation, possible stress cracks, or any other defect that could impede the safe use of the fork. Step 4. Check the tip alignment. Using a straight edge, check the blades on both forks. Measure the distance from the tip to the straight edge of the first fork, then do the same with the other fork. When the difference in height of the tips of a pair of forks on the same carriage exceeds 3% of the fork blade length, then the fork should be removed from service until repaired in accordance with ANSI IT-SDF B56. Step 5. Check the hooks or other fork retention for wear. Use the end of the caliper that matches your fork class to check the fork hooks. If the lip of the hook contacts the back of the caliper, the fork must be removed from service. This one is okay. This one is not okay. Check the positioning lock and other fork retention devices to ensure they are in place and in working order. Step 6. Use the cascade caliper to check blade wear. Set the caliper by the thickness of the shank. Then position the jaws of the caliper over the fork blade. If the inside teeth of the caliper hit the fork, it has less than 10% wear and can remain in service. If the caliper passes freely over the blade, the fork must be removed from service. Set the calipers according to the shank thickness. Gently remove the calipers and measure the blade. This blade is okay. As you can see, this one is not okay. Step 7. While you're inspecting the forks, you should also make sure the fork identification is clearly legible. If not, it should be renewed. This diagram shows where you find the fork identification. You can rub chalk over the markings to help identify them. This is a B2 F60SD. This marking shows the size and date of manufacture. These are the general guidelines for using the Cascade caliper for non-technical inspections. For further instructions, please refer to the Cascade